All right. Hey, everyone. This is Delta Penguin from PengTech. Today's video will be a short one and more practical, fun example, hopefully. But the question is, what is an interface or an API? And this is something that's, again, not too complicated, but it took me a while to understand it, and I felt like it didn't get explained very well. But an interface is basically something, it's like a middleman in between two things trying to communicate. So it's kind of like maybe the keyboard, like your computer keyboard, to your computer. So it has a bunch of buttons, and you understand it. You type it. You can type and press the different buttons, and then that'll translate it into some electrical signal that the computer can understand. So it's a way for the human to interact with something else to connect to, I guess, some other device or thing that speaks like a different language or understands things differently. So that's basically an interface. And an API is an application programming interface. So I mentioned before that can be like a common API is, say, like a website URL. And then the normal ones you go to, and then it gives you like the website. But you can also create a URL where if you visit it, it will go and then run some code in the background and then return some result or some data to you. And that can be how you use things like Google Map data into your app instead. You would use your app to call that specific URL with any parameters that it needs, kind of like a function. Any inputs that it needs to run, you give it to that API, and you call that URL, and then HTTP protocol will run typically a post request, and then it'll return back the result to you. Again, typically in JSON. From the real world standpoint, what other examples can I give that'll help drive the point home? All right, let's see if we can do this. Okay, switch cameras. All right, some examples. And I'm gonna turn off the mic. Switch. Testing. Okay, I think it's still working. Yeah. So how about this? A common interface would be something like the standard, what do you call it? Power outlet, right? See, the interfaces, it's like some common input that it understands. So like the power plug goes into a common, I guess, receiver. And so that's like an interface, and programming that interfaces as well, aside from the URL API. It's something like this. You have an agreement, right? You have a certain design set up. It's like, okay, if you create your program or you have a device and then it outputs like in this format, right? So 2 prongs, then it can be accepted into this other device, in this case, the power outlet. So some common input, some common thing that you input into, and there's an agreement there, right? If I tried to use a different kind of interface like a USB, so this is also an interface. So if I tried to use this, it doesn't work, right? It doesn't fit. It's not designed to work together, because if it tried to do it, it wouldn't be able to understand. They wouldn't be able to understand each other. So that's an example of an interface. And then, again, this is a different interface. So like if you plug this into a USB port, then it fits, it can understand it, because they have that agreement. Hey, if you're shaped like this and it has, has the, 4, I think that's 4 metal prongs inside, then it can use each one, because it's predefined, it can use each one to transfer data in a way that's agreed upon or in a way that's understood. So that's a practical example and picture of what an interface is.